Welcome back, and joining us on the show now is Peter McGuire, CEO, Exim Australia. Peter, hi, and what a roller coaster last evening we've seen when it comes to oil and gas as a space, especially energy, natural gas, where we've seen very sharp decline for US, but an uptick for Asia and Europe. What's your sense on the way things are opening up when it comes to the Freeport, Texas oil facility?
Well, Manisha, I mean, it was demonstrated in one word, and that's price, and what we've seen back at $7.30. So big wipeout, and I just really gives everyone a little bit of a heads up as far as, price volatility. So I think that where you're looking as far as supply issues, concerns to naturally the consumer, all of that needs to be taken on board. But I tell you what, the volatility is just immense, and I'm not looking for that to die down anytime soon.
Okay. And, the whole market, all asset classes clearly watching out for the US Fed announcement today. What is your take, or how would you want to trade the next 24 hours? What are you looking at?
Well, we've seen a very big move to the upside as far as US dollar index, Manisha, over the last, 16, 18 hours. So there's the first side. That momentum may continue a little bit further. I've noticed that Asian equities, they're a very mixed bag. Some were up, some were spanked down. So there's concern there, and I think we're just trying to find some sort of floor. The other thing is crude still sitting at that 120, 119. So I don't look at any surprises in the short term, and I'm going to say I wouldn't be surprised for J Powell to hit us up 0.75.
So what's the range, or what's the level that you're watching out for crude prices going forward, supposing we get a 50 basis hike or even 75 for that matter?
Manisha, I think it's got more upside. There's more concern. We're entering that traditional, uncertainty with June, July, August, hurricane seasons and all those sort of inputs going into the market. So it's got to be a 125, 130, 140. I won't be surprised if it hits it. I don't want it, but I won't be surprised, Manisha.
Peter, how are you looking at the metal prices also? Because, we've come way off from those March and April highs. On the lower side, we can see some buying in the Asian markets right now. But clearly, the markets are nervous, jittery even ahead of the US Fed meeting. But when you look at the fundamentals, what's the sense that you get from this sector?
Well, they're jittery, Manisha, that sums it up very well. And they were oversold, and they're probably a price as far as consolidation. But the issue is we've just got to see where it moves over the next, say, week and a half to 2 weeks. Everyone's got their hand on heart, just waiting for the Fed to announce what's going on. And as far as base metals, there's no sunshine there at the moment. There are other markets to trade. That's been currencies, and that's certainly been across the energy sector. So I'm just going to sit on the sidelines waiting for some surprises to come on board as far as base metals. But at the moment, they're on a holiday, Manisha.
All right. I want to come back to crude then. And, you mentioned of course, the macro is there to watch for. But when you look at the supplies in this space, whether it's from OPEC or the Libya stress, the curbs on Russia, the supply situation really seems to be difficult right now. You've said already that you are looking at higher highs from here. But nowhere at all are you reading anything about demand destruction at these higher prices, at these all-time high prices that we've seen in the US as well.
Exactly right, Manisha. You would have expected to possibly see demand destruction. We've just got inflation tearing us apart, high energy costs, as we know. So at the moment, it seems to be more room to gallop higher yet. The next couple of months are going to be intriguing. The stress as far as the pay packet going on, if you don't see a wage rise. So what impact it has to the consumer with energy prices, food prices and utilities. So I think that everyone's being crimped at the moment, and it's going to be a very interesting 6.5 months leading up to New Year's Eve, Manisha.
All right. How are you looking at the dollar index as well? Because, we did see a good profit taking, and the markets thought perhaps we've seen the peak of dollar for this year at least, and then we come raging back yet again to 105.
Exactly right. 102, and it was touching there, and everyone was saying, it's going to be 100 trade. And then all of a sudden it's gone boom. I'll show you what 100 looks like. There it is at 105. The yen's been hit hard. Have a look at the pound, 120. We've got a 104.40 for the euro. The way it's going, the euro will end up parity. So, against the US dollar. So everything's being sold off. US dollar, king dollar, Manisha. And I won't be surprised to take a 106 handle out. I don't know whether it's got how much more legs, but it seems to have a little bit more momentum. If Powell comes out and hits it at 0.75, I won't be surprised to see 106 by the end of the week.
So, Peter, even as markets are so easily and freely talking about 75 basis points, is it really factored in, or do you think 75 is going to be a big shock, big rude shock in the evening if it happens?
I don't know whether it's a rude shock. Go back a week ago and it was a rude shock. Go back a month ago when there was no way, it was a nightmare. No one would have believed it. But as we're getting closer to the hour and the minute, we're only about 11 hours away, then, yeah, I think it's even Steven at the moment. It's 50-50. That's what the analysts are telling me. That's what people what I'm listening to on the street and what I'm talking to different people all over the world. Everyone's saying 0.75, 0.75. So let's wait and see.
All right. But would you say the markets have factored it in, or do you think there is still some probability that it may not happen?
Well, it may not happen. I mean, no one knows. No one's got a crystal ball. But if it does go, then the US dollar is going to go higher. And I think there's a degree of angst because they're worried about, the inflation story, and they're worried about growth naturally. So, yeah, just hold on to your hat. It's going to be volatile, Manisha.
Well, yes, next 11 hours, as you said, is going to be quite jittery. And after that, when we hear that announcement, the kind of reaction that we will see from markets, of course, the Indian equity markets would have shut by then, but commodities, currencies, the global equities would still be open, and we will see that knee-jerk reaction come across board. Whether it's 50 or 75, it's going to be a difficult evening today. Peter, thank you so much for joining.